Following the invasion of the Soviet Union by the German army in June 1941, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin began pressuring his new allies to establish a second front in Western Europe. The Soviet Union and the United States announced in late May 1942 that they had reached full understanding with regard to the urgent tasks of creating a second front in Europe in 1942. However, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill persuaded U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt to change his mind. President Franklin D. Roosevelt decided to postpone the planned invasion because the Allies lacked the necessary forces, even with American assistance. Rather than returning to France immediately, the Western Allies launched offensives in the Mediterranean theater of operations, where British forces were already stationed. By mid-1943, the North African campaign had been won. In July 1943, the Allies invaded Sicily, followed by the invasion of the Italian mainland in September of the same year. By that time, Soviet forces had gone on the offensive and had scored a major victory at Stalingrad. In May 1943, the Trident Conference in Washington made the decision to launch a cross-channel invasion within the year. The amount of available landing craft, the majority of which were already committed in the Mediterranean and Pacific, limited initial planning. Roosevelt and Churchill assured Stalin at the Tehran Conference in November 1943 that the long-delayed Second Front would open in May 1944. Operation Overlord was the name given to the landing of troops on the beaches of Normandy on June 6, 1944, which became known around the globe as D-Day. Deception plans were carried out in the run-up to the invasion in order to mislead Germany. The codename Operation Overlord became synonymous with the start of World War II's end. The attack became known as D-Day after the Battle of Normandy, which took place along a 50-mile stretch of beaches, including Utah and Omaha beaches. Northern France was liberated as a result of the battle. Under the command of General Dwight Eisenhower, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Canada sent over 160,000 Allied forces. On the day of the initial landing, the men manned almost 5,000 ships and 13,000 aircraft. D-Day marks a critical turning point in the war, which has lasted nearly 5 years. Much of the world suffered tragedy and hardship during World War II. D-Day is still remembered as a pivotal moment in the war. During World War II, troops made one of the most pivotal raids against Germany. The amphibious landings were preceded by a massive aerial and naval bombardment, as well as an airborne assault, which saw 24,000 American, British, and Canadian forces land shortly after midnight. At 6:30 a.m., Allied infantry and armored units began arriving on the French coast. Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword were the names of the 5 sectors that made up the target 50-mile stretch of Normandy shoreline. The landing boats were blown east of their intended places by strong winds, particularly in Utah and Omaha. The Marines landed under heavy fire from gun emplacements overlooking the beaches, and the shore was mined and littered with impediments including wooden stakes, metal tripods, and barbed wire, making beach clearing teams' task tough and deadly. Omaha, with its towering cliffs, suffered the most casualties. Several defended villages were cleared in house-to-house warfare at Gold, Juno, and Sword, and 2 important gun emplacements at Gold were damaged with specialized tanks. On the first day, the Allies failed to achieve any of their objectives. Carentan, Saint-Lô, and Bayeux remained in German hands, and it took until July 21 to capture Caen, a vital objective. Only 2 of the beaches, Juno and Gold, were joined. On the first day, and all 5 beachheads were not connected until June 12, however, the operation acquired a foothold, which the Allies subsequently enlarged over the next few months. On D-Day, German casualties were believed to be between 4,000 and 9,000 troops. At least 10,000 Allied casualties were recorded, with 4,414 confirmed deaths. Till today many people visit the area's museums, memorials, and military graves each year to see and feel the history. D-Day was an Army term used to denote the start date for various field operations, according to the U.S. military. The D in D-Day doesn't actually stand for anything in this situation. It's nothing more than an alliterative placeholder for a specific day on the calendar. Yet some claim the letter D stands for departure, determination, and doomsday. So what are your thoughts on that? Have you heard about this before? Leave your thoughts in comments. Let's see how many of our viewers already knows about this.
If you like our content, please like and subscribe, and do watch out for more.